Welcome back to my channel. My name is Ebony Anoforo. I am an immigration attorney and I'm dedicated to helping people navigate the complexities of US immigration law. And today I want to talk about a very critical topic that doesn't get enough attention. And it's specifically about labor trafficking and how the T visa can offer protection and hope to victims. Now, labor trafficking is a hidden crime that affects thousands of people every single year. But I want you to know that the good news is that the law provides a way for victims to stay in the US legally, to work, and also to have the opportunity to rebuild their lives. So I want to dive in and break down how this will work. So, what is labor trafficking? Now, labor trafficking happens when individuals are forced to work against their will through threats, coercion, or even deception. And it can happen in industries like agriculture, domestic work, construction, factory work, and even restaurants or hotels. Now, I want to give you a few examples. So, a worker may be promised a good paying job in the United States only to arrive and have their passport taken away from them, forcing them to work long hours for little or no pay. Now, others may face threats of violence against themselves or even their families if they try to leave or speak up about what's going on. Now, if this sounds familiar to you or maybe to someone you know, then you might actually qualify for a T visa. Now, the T visa is like a legal lifeline for victims of human trafficking, and human trafficking includes labor trafficking. Okay. So, now what is the T visa? Talking about this visa, right? What actually does it do? Now, the T visa, it is a humanitarian visa for victims of severe trafficking, including labor trafficking. Now, it allows victims to stay in the US, to obtain a work permit, work authorization, and eventually to apply for a green card. Now, this visa isn't just about legal status, even though you will be able to eventually get legal status. It's also about giving survivors the tools to escape exploitation, to access support, and to move forward with dignity. Now, a lot of times, people who are victims of labor trafficking, they don't even realize that this is something that they could speak out about, right? A lot of times, people are afraid to speak out about it because they're afraid that they're undocumented and that if they were to come forward and complain or report to law enforcement, that they could be deported or even arrested themselves. So, you have a lot of people who do not speak up. About being trafficked. However, I want you to know, or if you know someone who may have experienced this, to know that this is an option for you. So now let's talk about the qualifications for a T visa. So to qualify, you must meet these criteria, right? You have to be a victim of severe trafficking. So this includes labor trafficking, like I mentioned before. So for labor trafficking, this can mean that you were forced to work under abusive conditions, or you were being coerced through threats or even debt bondage or even fraud to work under those conditions. You have to show that you're physically present in the US because of the trafficking. And this could mean that you were brought here by your traffickers or that you escaped trafficking and you decided to stay in the US. You also have to be able to show that you are assisting law enforcement in the investigation or the prosecution of the traffickers. You have to prove that leaving the US would result in extreme hardship. So, for instance, you might face retaliation from your traffickers, you lack safety or support in your home country, or you have this ongoing trauma because of the trafficking. Now, there are some exceptions to reporting, and that will go through, we would have to do an evaluation to figure out if you would qualify for that exception, because a lot of times there is some trauma behind reporting and reliving the trafficking situation, and that may or may not be able to be an exception for you with regards to the reporting aspect. Okay, so now let's look at some real world examples of labor trafficking. So, agricultural workers, right? A migrant worker might be promised fair wages, but then forced to work under unsafe conditions for little or sometimes no pay, right? Some are even threatened with deportation if they complain about this, right? I've had clients tell me that they were told they will be reported to ICE if they complained about the fact that they didn't get paid this week, right? That is a form of labor trafficking. And domestic workers, right? A person could be hired to care for a home, and be forced to work long hours without breaks while being denied food or their wages or even the ability to leave the house. That is also a form of labor trafficking. And what about factory or construction workers, right? Laborers may face unsafe working conditions and then be threatened with harm to themselves or their families if they try to quit. Now, these are situations that unfortunately are far too common. So if you hear this and it sounds familiar to you, or you know someone who this has happened to, I want you to let them know, and I want you to know that there is help available for people who are in these circumstances. Okay. So the T visa isn't just a temporary fix, it's actually a pathway to stability and freedom for many people. And I want to go over what some of the benefits are when you apply for the T visa. So there's number one, work authorization. You can apply for authorization to work legally in the US, and this allows you to support yourself and also allows you to support your family. You get protection from deportation. So the T visa gives you legal status in the US. So you don't have to live in fear, right, of being removed. So that's a really big deal because a lot of people who aren't documented, they walk around just afraid, anxious all the time because they don't know what could happen if they get picked up by ICE or if they get arrested. And with the changes that are going to be coming in 2025 with the new administration, a lot of people are really anxious about being undocumented in this country. And with the T visa, you can also, depending on your status, right, and your case, you may be able to file for certain family members, right? Your spouse, children, parents, right? And this is great because for a lot of people, they don't have any other way to get legal status for themselves and for their loved ones. And then you also have a pathway to permanent residency. So with the T visa, after 3 years, or once the law enforcement agencies complete their investigation of the trafficking, you may qualify to apply for an actual green card. And with the green card, that means that you eventually have a pathway to apply for citizenship in this country. Now, another great thing about the T visa is that you have access to support and services. So this can include housing. For many people, they find that they don't have proper housing. This can include counseling or healthcare if you need this and you've been a victim of human trafficking, sex trafficking, or even labor trafficking, and other resources that'll be able to help you heal and rebuild from what you've been through. Okay. Now, applying for the T visa involves you submitting a form. As an immigration attorney, we handle that. We prepare that application that we submit to USCIS along with evidence that supports your case. For labor trafficking victims, this can include testimonies or affidavits from you, and we always want to submit an affidavit. We call it a declaration from you talking about your experience, or witnesses who also witnessed what happened to you, right? Reports or letters from organizations that maybe helped you get through your trafficking or help you escape from the trafficking. Any documentation that you have showing the abusive conditions or maybe the threats that you endured, like if you have text messages or emails that were sent threatening you or saying that they weren't going to pay you, this is really good evidence. And again, like I mentioned earlier, your personal statement is an essential part of the application because this is where you get to tell your story, right? In your own words, explaining how you became a victim of trafficking and why staying in the US is necessary for you to get help and get safety, because every single case is really unique. And when you write your statement, it really gives the immigration officers that are reviewing your case a picture of what you've been through. So that is very important. If you feel like you don't have evidence, you don't have enough to file for this visa, let me tell you that your declaration is a very strong piece of evidence that can be used to prove your case. Okay, so don't give up hope. Don't say, "Oh, I was a victim of trafficking, but I don't have enough evidence." I recommend you meeting with an immigration attorney who has experience working with T visa applicants, or who have an experience with this type of humanitarian case, and just see, find out. Maybe you do qualify, right? Maybe there is more evidence than you know, but at the very least, speak with someone who will be able to help you. Okay. So I know that talking about labor trafficking can be, very scary. And I know that sometimes, especially when you've experienced that firsthand, it's really traumatizing to talk about it. But the purpose of me making this video is so that I want you to know that you're not alone, right? That the law is here to protect you, even when you're undocumented. That is the whole purpose of why they created this visa. They understand that people who are undocumented are taken advantage of, right? So if you or someone you know is in this situation, please don't hesitate to reach out for help. There are organizations and attorneys like myself who are here to fight for you and ensure that your voice is heard, okay? So I hope that you found this video helpful. I appreciate you for watching. If you know anyone that's been in this situation, please share this video with them, okay? And let them know that there are options for them, okay? So if you want to learn more about how the T visa may be helpful to you, you can go ahead and give me a call and set up a confidential consultation with me, and we can discuss what your legal options are, okay? Don't forget to subscribe to this channel, okay, for more information on immigration and tips and updates. And I will see you in the next video. Take care. Bye.